The Resolution Trust Corporation was formed 2 years ago to clean up the multi-billion-dollar savings and loan crisis. It was expected to handle 300 failed thrifts and be finished with the job by 1996. Was it an unrealistic goal even before thrift failures multiplied? Does the RTC have the resources to do the job? With us for some second birthday analysis is Henry Peltz. Mr. Peltz follows the thrift industry for National Bank. Good morning and thanks for being with us.
Good morning, Leslie.
Thrift failures more than doubled since the RTC started 2 years ago. Do they just have too big a job, or are they really as incompetent as critics claim?
Well, I think if you give the RTC a grade, in other words, if they were a student, I personally would give them a grade something like B or B minus, which isn't too bad. Now, the reason for that is, first of all, the problems that existed when the RTC started. There were turf fights, there was disorganization, there was a hostile Congress. Very tough to get started in an economy like that, in a background like that. The second thing is that most of the assets that they took over were very poorly documented by the savings and loans. For example, who had liens against some of the assets? Who really owned the assets? The documentation that the savings and loan industry provided was very poor. The third thing is that, as you say, the pipeline of dead thrifts was supposed to have been perhaps 300. It's doubled. Perhaps it will triple by the time it's finished. The reason for that is that the regulators, the people who feed the dead thrifts to the RTC, have gotten very tough, tougher than some people thought they might. So the net result is that there's been more work to do. It's been very tough to get it done. And I think the RTC has done a pretty good job. They've closed up 460 thrifts so far. They have about 140 currently in the pipeline. And it's possible that they will close another 100 or so before they get finished.
You don't think the agency deserves the blame? There are some Congress people who say that they are in a sea of red ink and yet just want to grandstand all the time.
Well, you've got a double whammy going on there. The first one is that Congress wants to insulate itself as much as possible from the thrift scandal for obvious reasons. And they want the job to get done fast. Now, by the same token, they don't want the RTC dumping properties if those properties are located in their states. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And that's the background against which the RTC is working.
When you said that the regulators had gotten tougher than some people thought they would, do you also mean to say that there are some thrifts being shut down that would not have been shut down under, say, normal circumstances?
Well, I think so. I had in mind particularly the way the thrift regulators are looking at real estate now. And this applies not just to thrifts, this applies to all financial institutions. The regulators are taking a very tough line about the discount rates, the terminal values, so on and so forth. They have gone from a very lax kind of regulatory accounting to a regulatory accounting which is tougher than generally accepted accounting principles. And all of that has created more problems at the thrift level, in my opinion, and probably has pushed a number of thrifts over the edge.
We're out of time. We'll pick up in our next half hour where the RTC goes from here. Thanks. Our guest this morning has been Henry Peltz. He is Savings and Loan Industry Analyst at Nation Bank, and he will be back at 10 before the hour. That's Nation R Bank.
And we'll be back with the latest on communism's death in Moscow, including the latest republic to declare independence.
We'll also look at the gold market and find out just how active the Soviets have been there.
And Roderick Pratt will be along to check the latest on the European markets live from London. 27 and a half past the hour on CNBC FNN. World Business continues after these messages.